So, so you don't, I'm good at words.
Words.
Yeah, they're not relevant to this interview at all.
No. Thing is the best word ever. Everything's a thingy. Thingies.
It's really the only one you ever need to
use.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It's like the Swiss Army knife of words.
Hello, I'm Amber, and this is Amber Unabridged. I am here today with E.A. Lawrence. She is an author who is kind enough to have a conversation with me today. Hopefully we can have a good time. Obviously, we're both sitting here with our masks. We're very COVID conscious, trying to be responsible citizens. But we are sitting outside, and we've both been quarantining. So I feel that with the breeze, which is clearly visible with, our fluctuating sign in the background, and the leaves that are rustling, if you can hear that on the video at all, I feel like we are probably safe to remove our masks for the sake of this video, for the duration of this video. So how are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good. This lovely individual is my sister-in-law. Mm-hmm. So she married my brother, and I love it.
I am really lucky to be your big sister now.
Don't mind me being awkward. It just happens sometimes.
Me too.
You just had a new story come out.
Yeah.
So do you want to tell our viewers a little bit about that story?
Yes. My newest story is called Smithsonian Soldiers.
Great title.
It is set... Oh, thank you. It is set in a dystopian future, and it's about two Smithsonian soldiers who are trying to save the human race. And there are jetpacks, there are geese, there are mutants. It's good times. There's beef jerky. It's a fun story about friendship in the face of adversity.
Yeah. I liked the Lord of the Rings quote. I admit I Googled it because I wasn't sure.
I'm glad that you liked it.
Ah.
I had a lot of fun trying to pick a quote for Mel and Joyce to reference.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I liked the lady science power, It was, and the nerd power. It was a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit too, as I was reading it, I was like, I know this is a dystopian story, but it doesn't feel all that futuristic. It might have something to do with a virus that's going around.
It's funny. So the reason why life is a dystopia in the world of Smithsonian Soldiers is there is something called the Koala Virus. All caps. It's an acronym. And fun, true story. I did not write this story in the year 2020. I wrote this story after I had a nightmare. And I frequently write from dreams. And I'm just like, subconscious. You've come up with something worth exploring. And so, I wrote it in 2016. And I just was picking up and putting it down for the last 4 years, doing draft after draft. And this year it finally felt right. So, I actually came with a virus destroying the world as we knew it, 4 years before it actually happened.
Right on. Got a psychic in my family.
It's just science. I was sitting there thinking about, what could cause widespread social and physical change very rapidly. And I was like, virus. Yeah. That's biology.
Yeah.
Helps you come up with cool ideas.
Science is pretty great. So Smithsonian Soldiers was inspired by a dream. Now you have two other short stories. All of your published works are short stories.
Yes.
So were the other two stories also inspired by dreams?
One of them was.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Which one was that?
Kitsune Tea. So Kitsune Tea was inspired by a dream I had.
Okay. Kitsune, I can't even say words. Kitsune Tea is in Roar Volume 7 from Bad Dog Books, which is a great name. And the other short stories are available for free reading online. You can go to the websites. I'll leave the links down below if you are interested in reading them, so that you can access any of the stories if any of them sound intriguing to you.
And I also have links to the stories on my author page on my blog, Technicolor Lily Pond.
Yeah. I'm going to leave links for that down below as well, so that you can explore more of E.A. Lawrence's writing. If you like her fiction, or if you want to explore her nonfiction, just check out delightful thoughts and awesome photography. So Kitsune Tea is a delightful story.
Well, thank you.
If I remember correctly, I haven't read Valentine in a while, but if I remember correctly, it's rather short.
It is.
And I believe that Kitsune Tea is the longest of the three.
It is.
Okay, yeah. So all of them are very quick to read, though, and just delightful stories. If you enjoy short stories, they're all fantastic. They've all kind of got a sci-fi fantasy vibe. So if that's your jam, then you'll probably dig them. And, I'm not biased at all, so you should definitely check them out.
Thank you.
Just saying. What made you want to write stories? Was it just having the ideas in your head, or, what made you want to pursue publishing?
Well, I got the bug when I was young, when I was a little girl. So I was always a very imaginative child, and my parents are great readers. Both my parents are librarians, so they kind of turned our house into a library. And so my happiest memories growing up were with books. And then in first grade, they had something where it's like make your own book kind of a thing. It was like an art project kind of a thing. And so I started doing those, and I just absolutely loved them. Those were like my favorite activity of the year. And I just started making my own like little stories outside of school. And then when I was homeschooled, so homeschooling kids, woohoo! It's awesome. Also, my parents are awesome teachers, but they, there was an assignment that I had to do, and I wrote of like writing your own folktale based on, like the old-fashioned American folktale tradition. And so I did, and I wrote one, and then my mom said, this is too long, doesn't meet the assignment, do it over again. But so I kept writing that on my own, and that became like my first novel. But I was smart and listened to my editor, and I started over and made a story called Kalamazoo Kelly that I submitted for publication because my long distance teacher, in addition to my mom said it was great and I should try and get published, but what kid listens to their mom giving them compliments? And so my long distance teacher said, no, really, this is really good, and submitted it for like the Calvert homeschooling newsletter or something like that, and it wasn't accepted. But my mom was like, well, every author gets rejected, try again. And so it was actually published in the magazine Children's Digest. And so that was my first publication as E.A. Lawrence, and I was like 9, 10, I think it was 10. It's fuzzy. I had long braids. That was my author picture. I had very long braids. And so it was published. I was paid in copies. So authors still get paid in copies. But I got like a giant stack of copies of my story, and I was giving them out to people, and I gave my original copy to my Sunday school teacher, Mrs. She was awesome. And my parents still, I think, have like 4 or 5 copies of Children's Digest with Kalamazoo Kelly by E.A. Lawrence in their basement.
Right on.
So I got the bug. I was hooked. I was like, I'm gonna keep doing this. So I always was like coming up with stories and imaginative play with, I had a dollhouse that my dad and my mom built me and fitted out. So actually, if you read Kitsune Tea, the details of the dollhouse that is prominently featured in the story is my own love letter to my dollhouse as a child. Like
Aw.
that is my dollhouse. I added a couple floors, but it's
Like you do.
like you do.
So you're not a full-time author, right?
No.
You have a day job.
I do.
So do you want to tell everybody what you do in your real life?
I do science things. I'm a biologist by training. I have 2 degrees in biology, and I am privileged enough to actually do science things with my biology degrees.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
You are a hero among us all.
Oh, well, you know, true heroes wear masks. World, I'm looking at you.
Yep. I could just feel the shame.
Well, I mean, I do science things. I work in an academic medical center, so I don't want to go into too much detail about it, but yeah, the consequences of COVID-19 are real, and everyone needs to wear their masks.
Yeah.
Wash your hands.
Yep. So then so you work full time as a scientist.
Yep.
You're a super badass scientist. And
No jetpacks though.
Well,
I know.
you know, you win some, you lose some.
I know.
So,
I'm not there yet.
maybe in like 5 years.
Yeah. Maybe.
So, and so then you find time to write in your home time, in your spare time. It's a hobby and an enthusiasm that you pursue. So when you sit down to write, you know, is there a process? Do you have to have certain things set up? Do you have a specific place you go, or is it just kind of wherever you can grab the time?
Well, it's really wherever I can grab the time. I mean, my ideal is when I have my headphones in, I've got my music, I kind of have like a playlist for different types of stories. My brain is kind of like a lazy Susan of revolving ideas. I have a bunch of different projects in process.
Okay.
I actually did put like a list on Goodreads of like all like my Goodreads author page of like all my projects that are in progress. So I kind of have like a different playlist for each one to kind of get into that headspace. I do a lot with like my process kind of roughly is fountain pens, paper, and just 15 to 20 minute blocks.
Okay.
Because even before I became a caregiver of a small human, life is busy, especially when you are working full time and maintaining relationships with other humans. And so I would just try and always have a pad. I always have a notebook and multiple writing utensils. I prefer fountain pens. I'm a fountain pen geek in that respect. Oh, I'm not a geek. I don't know enough about them, but I love them. And I have yes, I'm a fountain pen enthusiast. They are the easiest to write with, especially with my MS, because you don't have to put the pressure on the page that you do with a ballpoint. With a fountain pen, it's designed for the ink to flow through the nib, so you just kind of have to hang on. You don't have to like put the pressure on. You don't have to have that grip. I mean, did you ever have to, growing up in school, have to do like the really tight grip on your pen to make sure you get like the cursive lines right? It's so much easier with a fountain pen because you don't have to press on the page. So, yeah, fountain pens helps.
I have a couple of fountain pens that I write with that are not as legit as the kind that you use. I don't have to like pour ink in. I just have to like change out the cartridge on mine.
I have some cartridge ones too. I've, before the small human came into my life, I had like the ink pot and like the cartridge converter. But no, now I have like a little box of cartridges, and with pandemic, I've actually emptied half a box of cartridges.
Nice. So you mentioned, while talking about the fountain pens, that you have MS.
I do. I have multiple sclerosis.
Okay. So, do you feel comfortable sharing with the viewers kind of what that's like and what being, a full-time worker, mother, wife, author, not full-time author, but,
Well, I mean, I'm not a full-time author professionally, but it is a lifelong passion. So when I don't get to write, I don't feel well. So I always make time to write. And whatever little bit you can write, you're still a writer if you're writing. So whether it's like once a week or every day, if you're making time to write, you're a writer. And so with MS, it's been really hard. I got diagnosed in 2013, so I've been living with MS for 7 years, and it really hit me like a truck. Everything happened at once. I was just having coffee with one of my mother-in-laws, and wham, my vision just completely changed. I was afraid I was having a stroke because 1 minute I was just looking at my mother-in-law across the table, and the next minute my vision just split in two. I had double vision, and it was weird because I could position my head so that the double vision went away, but then you're sitting there like this. Mm-hmm. And living your life sitting there like this is not really possible. Yeah. And I had to drive home, and that was the first symptom. But within a year I got the MS hug, which feels like you've got just a vice, cinching your rib cage, like the world's most uncomfortable bra that you can never ever take off. I know, it was for sex. And I got paresthesia, which is like if you've ever had your leg fall asleep, you get that pins and needles feeling. Just imagine that pins and needles feeling when you're trying to stomp your leg awake, only your leg doesn't wake up. I had that, like, all just creeping over my body. It was really bad in my hands, which when you're someone with, like a white collar intellectual job, or you're, doing stuff at a computer, at a bench, working with mice, it's not good when you don't have full sensation in your hands. Mm-hmm. It got to the point where I could only feel my thumb, which is not enough. No. I felt like a disembodied head for a while because I could feel my head, which is nice. Yeah. But I couldn't feel anything else. But Midwest winter, you got a job, you got to keep at it. It's like, well, I can walk. I assume keep walking. I'm watching the feet moving, so we'll go with that. And I would eventually, over 9 months, just all these things just happened. And they had clear lesion evidence in my MRIs for my brain. And they're like, yeah, this is a mess. So I got on a disease-modifying therapy. I got plasmapheresis, which that was for sex. Steroids don't work on me. So I had to do like the big guns of plasmapheresis and some other specialty medications. So MS medication is super expensive. And that my first disease-modifying therapy, I was immunocompromised with that because it did decrease my white blood cell count 50%. So I got a lot of colds. That was not fun.
I can't imagine that it would have been.
No. But I got really, really involved with volunteering for Walk MS and the Wisconsin National MS Society because I want to live and I want to help others live, and I want science to figure this out. And the National MS Society is the second biggest funder of MS research after the federal government and the National Institutes of Health. So since Walk MS started, like 25 something years ago, 30 years ago, there are 19 new treatments on the market directly because of the advocacy and fundraising that has made possible more research. Scientists can work the problem if you give them the funding to do so. So we are helping make that happen. And the Wisconsin National MS Society also does a lot with helping families cope with this virus with the disease. I say virus because as an autoimmune disease, frequently people get triggered by having a major infection. Okay. So it's not always the case. There's a lot of unknowns with what causes people to have MS. But risk factors do include age, your vitamin D levels, having been exposed to a major illness event that basically your immune system gets so keyed up that it's just like, I'm just going to attack everything, including your brain. And that is not fun. So I'm really worried about people getting sick with
COVID going around.
Yeah, with COVID going around, people on disease-modifying therapies who are immunocompromised getting sick because people don't wear their masks. And I'm really worried about people getting COVID, recovering from COVID, and then developing an autoimmune disorder like MS because their immune system is keyed up. So, yeah, we all really need to be mindful of everyone right now and be kind.
Yeah.
So
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask. But, with writing, I've been, I had a fountain pen. I was able to keep writing in journals. It would take me longer to copy out my long form stuff, but I did. I kept blogging. There are a lot of software options out there for people with handicaps to stay plugged in, and I was researching them, and I'm lucky enough to have access to technologies and support networks. So,
cool.
Yeah, but mostly I'm just stubborn, honestly. I'm just really stubborn.
Yeah.
And it's a very great survival skill. Mm-hmm.
I like it. I'm very blasé. I'm just like, I'll figure it out for everything ever in my life. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, I'm going to do this the really hard way. And I'm like, you get it.
Mm-hmm. I do.
But on the bright side, every year the Wisconsin chapter of the MS Society does a walk in Waukesha, Wisconsin, which is where we are, presently. And, for all 7 years?
Yeah, my first walk was in 2014, so I guess 6 years.
Okay.
So, I got diagnosed in late 2013, and I was like, what can I do? And I started volunteering.
Okay.
Because that's me. I volunteered.
Like I said, superhero. Anyway, so for the last 6 years, E.A. Lawrence has been, absolutely like charging the way. She's a big cheese.
Yeah.
They call her.
Yeah. Wisconsin proud.
Yeah. I didn't even think of it that way. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm real slow. I'm so proud to be a Wisconsinite too. Wow.
I'm a transplant from Michigan.
Yeah, but you've adopted our ways.
It's true.
It's fine.
I'm just in love with circling Lake Michigan. I've just circled this lake.
You really have.
I really have. Yeah.
From Michigan to Illinois to Wisconsin.
Skipping Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana sucks. Sorry if you live there. It sucks. Anyway, I just don't have good experiences in Indiana.
Don't either.
So, yeah, I lost my train of thought right in the middle of that sentence.
Indiana. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So you wanted to ask me some more questions about Walk a Mess, or?
Yeah. So, well, I just want to let everybody know that even though, the walk this year is, the fundraising is over for 2020. But, I'm still going to leave a link down below for the Wisconsin chapter of the MS Society. Hey everybody, Editing Amber here. I just wanted to pop in and say that when E.A. Lawrence and I filmed this interview back in October, in the middle of a big YouTube slump for me, which is why I'm getting to it so late, the forms for the MS Walk in Waukesha had not yet been set up yet for the new year, for 2021. So we had this whole thing about using hashtags to donate to the MS Society. But since then, our new forms have opened up. So I'm going to leave a link to the form to my donation page for the walk for this year in the description. Back to the interview. If you have a couple extra dollars to throw towards a good cause, anybody who contributes, I will send a personal thank you note. So, don't.
She's good at writing thank you notes.
Mostly, I just have fun stationery and stickers.
Yeah.
And I say a lot of awkward things. So,
awesome.
If you want something in your mailbox that's not a bill, throw me a couple bucks. I'm just saying.
And helping people.
Yeah, that part. Getting back to writing.
Yes.
So and books and things, which is kind of like the whole thing with my channel here. Yeah. Who would you say are some of your biggest influencers in inspiring you in your writing? Be it authors or life what kind of what do you draw on for your stories other than your dreams?
Well, I really draw. I am a great reader. I read a lot. I blog about all the books, not as much as I should, but I do read a lot. My favorite books do tend to be genre. I'm a big fan of fantasy and science fiction, but I also love the classics of, I love mythology and folklore. I love Jane Austen, Shakespeare, Dickens. In terms of like more stylistic influences, I would say I love the personal nature of Jane Austen's style, and I'm very inspired by Neil Gaiman as an author and his use of mythopoeic storytelling, the way he can use words very deftly to tell a lot of story in a short word count, and his world building. I love Tolkien. I love C.S. Lewis. I love Ursula K. Le Guin so much. I discovered Ursula K. Le Guin relatively late in my writer life. Not super late, but in my 20s. It's not like I grew up with her, but I just love her book so much, and she is such an inspiration. She does everything. Highly recommend Ursula K. Le Guin. I really love Octavia Butler, even though again I discovered her late in life thanks to this lady. It's amazing, and I really love mythopoeic stories. Fairy tales are huge for me, like Jane Yolyn. I love Ellen Datlow and Terry Winley anthologies. I'm a huge fan of story anthologies. So the fact that my second professionally published story was published in a short story anthology was a dream come true, because I love it so. I'm so excited that my story can be in the hands of people to just discover it. I know short story anthologies are terrific because you can, especially when you're busy, you can just pick them up and put them down and just hop worlds. I'm a big fan of Steinbeck. I'm a big fan of Philip K. Dick and Ray Bradbury, The Martian Chronicles. I'm a huge fan of those.
That's on my list for this year. Fun
highly
fact.
Recommend.
I know.
Highly recommend. And I love William Morris. The Well at the World's End was a big book for me. I love just discovering new worlds, and recently I've been doing a deep dive into Connie Willis books, which have just been terrific. I finished reading Doomsday Book at the start of this COVID pandemic, which perfect about bubonic plague and influenza outbreak. So keeping it topical.
I read a book when COVID was breaking out. I read a book about a virus that causes zombieism.
Cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also love nonfiction. Like I really sincerely love Charles Darwin's Voyage of the Beagle. It's one of my favorites. His way with words is just profound, and his sense of wonder. I love Rachel Carson. A Sense of Wonder, her children's book, is truly inspirational. And as a parent now, I just really enjoy seeing the world through the eyes of my child as they discover everything. And sometimes it's a little alarming, but mostly it's filled with wonder. And I really love Andrea Barrett. Her short stories and The Voyage of the Narwhal are phenomenal. John Milton's Paradise Lost. Oh, so good. So good. I love it. I could go on. I really recently have been really into Jasper Fforde, and over the last several years, thanks to my husband, her big brother, he randomly bought me Thursday Next, the Eyre affair. He was like, oh yeah, this looked like something you would really love. And boy, was he right. I just absolutely love those books. I've been really into him, his world. She is an amazing heroine. I love The Parasol Protectorate by Gerald Carriger. It is so much fun. I'm a huge fan of mysteries. I'm a big fan of mysteries.
She really is.
My all-time favorite mystery author is Agatha Christie, Dame Agatha Christie. I have read all of the books of hers I can get my hands on. They all have their merits. I absolutely love them. But probably my favorite book ever is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I reread that book every few years. I reread excerpts of that book. I love Jane Eyre as a heroine. She's pretty amazing. And one of the other major influences in my life was Ellen Montgomery and the Anne of Avonlea series and her eclectic collection of short stories and novellas. So I really particularly love some of her short story collections that are kind of like ghostly and speculative. I find those very inspiring.
Neat.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm gathering from this is that if you like any of, if you watching this enjoy any of these authors or genres, you really need to read some E.A. Lawrence. I'm just saying.
Thank you. That's very kind. Going through that whole list, I think I really have never read a Western. So that's like a vacuum in my life. But I've read a lot of other things.
I've read one Western that I'm aware of. I did it for the Book Riot Read Harder challenge. In 2018, one of the challenges was to read a Western. And if it wasn't on that list, I probably wouldn't have done it. But I read True Grit by whoever wrote that. And I liked it. It was good. Cool. I listened to the audiobook. It was actually pretty fantastic. Way
to push your boundaries.
Yeah. I mean, that's
I should do that.
The Book Riot Read Harder challenge is that's the whole point of it, is to push your boundaries. I didn't do it this year or last year because I end up buying a whole lot more books.
The struggle is real not to buy more books.
Yeah. Listen, I can buy my own books at my own pace rapidly enough. Thank you very much. I don't need any help. So, but yeah, no, if any of you have been on my channel for any amount of time, I like many genres similar. This one and my brother, they were big influences on my enjoyment of reading. Just really, actually, I didn't do a whole lot of reading before these two. So, yeah. And when I did reading, my interests changed and adapted, based on recommendations and exposure and what have you. So it was a good time. So
it was fun.
Yeah. So if you like any of the books that I talk about, read some E.A. Lawrence because you're gonna enjoy it. I promise.
I hope so.
I mean, I know so. So you can pick up Valentine and Smithsonian Soldiers are available online. Roar Volume 7 is available. I'll leave a link for that down below if you're interested in Kitsune Tea. I mean, it's got fairy tale creatures, foxes, and mini dollhouses. What else do you need? Really?
To be specific, a kitsune is a magical fox being. So I highly recommend learning more about kitsune.
They're awesome.
They're really cool.
They're super neat. And if you eat those up, or if you just in generally want to check out some other stuff, as we did mention, E.A. Lawrence has a blog, and there is some flash fiction on there as well. We're gonna leave links for all that jazz down below.
I did want to do another plug for another favorite author of mine, Robin Mckinley. I highly recommend her. She does amazing retellings of fairy tales with heroines who do things, and her fiction is amazing, and I love them, and I've reread her books a bunch of times, and I really just want her to take her vitamins and write more books. So highly recommend Robin Mckinley. As Amber said, I do have a blog. It's filled with random pictures of nature because I'm a photographer, and various sundry thoughts about creativity and creating things and life.
Yeah.
So
Technicolor Lily Pond.
Technicolor Lily Pond. You can see my author page. You can see updates about Nerds for a Cure. You can see all my various crafty creations and my flash fiction.
So yeah, so this is what we've got here. That's a weird thing to say. I'm starting over.
Thank you for having me on here. I love your channel, and I love learning about books from you.
So no, I appreciate that it basically contributed heavily to the reader that I've become. The only reason I have awesome books to recommend is because you helped send me on the right direction. Please check out her stories. They are delightful. I highly recommend them.
And hopefully there'll be some more. I'm actually working on a sequel to Kitsune Tea. I thought that I was done with Rue's story, but Rue told me otherwise. So I'm working on a sequel. Stay tuned.
Thank you for watching. Thank you again for being on my channel. And, happy reading.
Happy reading!